Hi, so this is a discussion about program music. Now, a reminder that program music uses no words. There are no lyrics to program music, and that's a really important point. So an opera can't be program music, a cantata can't be program music, but a piece of program music is fully instrumental, and it aims to tell a story even though it doesn't have any words to it. So the piece that we're going to look at is the fifth movement of Berlioz's very famous Symphony Fantastique, which is a symphony that tells the story of Berlioz's own obsession with the actress Harriet Smithson, who's somebody that he pursued her and fell in love with her, and they got married. They did not have the happiest of marriages, but he sort of fell in love with her from afar, and he courted her mercilessly, and he wrote her this symphony, which is actually a little creepy and weird, so I can sort of understand her hesitancy. But anyway, the piece that we're going to be listening to is the fifth movement of this program symphony by Berlioz that tells the story of his love for Harriet Smithson. So the fifth movement uses a number of different interesting little techniques that we haven't seen before. It tells a story, first of all, so it's a fifth movement of a symphony, and there are little program notes. So in this movement, the musician has already seen himself executed. He drank the opium and he tried to kill himself, but he didn't drink enough to die, and so instead the fifth movement finds him in hell, basically, watching himself be punished for all of eternity, and then he sees Harriet, he sees his beloved, but she only comes to mock him. Now, there are a couple of things to keep in mind about this symphony. First of all is the concept of the idée fixe, the fixed idea. Berlioz had a particular motif, a musical motif, that shows up in all five movements of the symphony, and it's basically Harriet's theme. I'll point it out when we hear it. It gets played over and over and over again, obsessively throughout the entire symphony, and it's supposed to reflect his obsession with the woman herself. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other is the use of the dies irae, which again, I will point out when it is played. It was a medieval death chant, but it's used here to kind of symbolize death and despair and destruction. It's a very, very dark and sinister chant. The chant basically says, here is the day of reckoning, here is the day of wrath, when everything in the world is reduced to ash, right? So it's a very dramatic, very sinister sounding piece, and he kind of works it in to make hell sound extra scary and foreboding. The last thing that I would like to call your attention to is the use of a new technique that Berlioz develops and asks his string players to enact in the middle of this symphony. I should say at the end of the symphony, in the middle of this movement, close to the end, and that is called col legno. So he has written this instruction to his string players in the middle of this piece to turn their bows around and to smack the strings of their instruments with the wooden part of their bow. It makes a very unsettling sort of skittering sound, like skittering rats or something. And again, he does this to kind of increase the drama in this movement. So let's take a listen. I won't talk very much, but I'll mention some of the things to keep a listen to. All right. So here is the great Leonard Bernstein, conductor and composer of the New York Philharmonic, conducting the last movement of Symphony Fantastique by Berlioz. Here we go. we're about to hear Harriet's theme in a few minutes. Now, normally through the entire symphony, Harriet's theme is beautiful and lulling. Here it is. That was Harriet's theme on the clarinet. We'll hear it again. Here. So Harriet's theme is usually played in this beautiful, graceful way, but here it's done kind of mockingly on clarinets. So Harriet is not there to comfort him, she's there to mock him. And in a minute we're going to hear the Dies Irae. That's coming in a second, so we know that we're in a lot of trouble. We're hearing the Dies Irae. Get some church bells. And little snippets of Harriet's theme, the Idée Fixe. Here's the Dies Irae. This death chant is used in a lot of horror films. Actually, if you watch a lot of horror films, the music, the score for The Shining, the early '80s movie with Jack Nicholson, uses this theme a great deal. But a lot of other horror movies have used it too. And here's the Idée Fixe again. So now there's an interchange between the Dies Irae and the Idée Fixe, Harriet's theme. Here comes the Dies Irae again. The varied form of it. And Harriet's theme, little snippets of the idée fixe keep working their way through. Okay, so we're getting to the point where the string players are going to form with a col legno. Get there in a second. So keep an eye on the string section. There's another big blast of Dies Irae. But in a minute, here it comes. So keep your eye on the strings when we get back to the strings. And they're going to flip their bows and they're going to start hitting the... Here we go. Watch. Here we go. Wait for it. There we go. So that's the col legno. It's very unsettling to me. I don't like the sound of it at all. It sounds like something skittering, something not very nice. More Dies Irae. More Harriet's leitmotif, the idée fixe. And here we have the big stirring conclusion. Right, and then being that this is the fifth movement of a symphony, everybody's been very quiet for all four movements, but now that they're at the fifth, everybody can go crazy and applaud as this poor musician who has drunk opium is now watching himself in hell as he's being mocked by his beloved. Not a very happy ending. Anyway, that's the Symphony Fantastique, and so that is an example of a programmed symphony. That is the example of a way that a piece of music can tell a story without uttering any words. I hope you enjoyed. See you later.